So I wanted to talk about how last night I was meditating for about an hour and a half, and I had this really cool vision, and it's like mind-blowing compared to like the things that I was thinking about. So it has a lot to do with God, but before I really get into it, let me explain a few things first. So when I was like a little kid, like I'm saying like 5 or 6 years old, like maybe like first grade or something like that, I literally used to like sit there in my class, like my teacher would be talking, the kids would be talking to each other and like all this stuff, but I would be completely like ignoring all of that, and I'd just be like so like introspective, being like, what if I'm like the only one that's like actually existing? Like I'm just like looking around, like it's just like me looking around at everyone, and I'm like, my teacher's like talking, all the other kids are like talking and like listening, but then I'm just there like watching all of this. Like what if it's like just me? Like I didn't know anything about like science or religion or like social norms and, you know, like get a job and all this. I didn't know any of that, but that's like what I was thinking in my head when I couldn't like rationalize anything. So that thought has always been like in the back of my head for like my entire life. And when I was around 17, I got really into like religion and like philosophy and mysticism and things like that, meditation. And I came across this one philosophical concept called solipsism. And it's basically that. It's like one's own self could be the only thing that's truly said to be existing. Hang on. So basically, like, if you want to go a little deeper, like, I made a video on how to have like a psychic vision, and I made this almost like a metaphor analogy. I don't know what you call it, but like, imagine like the dream state, the dream world, whatever you want to call it, and this world, like the waking state, is actually like the same thing but different ends. Like it's one stick but different ends of the same stick. Like there's dreams, and then there's the waking state, like this whole world. But dreams is like the top end, and the real world, is like the bottom end. But it's one stick. So like in a dream it's just you, and here it's like just you. So like just imagine that. I'm not saying you have to like I'm not forcing you to like believe that. I'm just like, imagine it, consider it. So alright, that being said, let me explain something else. In Hinduism, and a lot of other religions, but Hinduism specifically, there's this idea that, or belief that Sadashiva, or Lord Shiva, whatever, I don't know exactly, but it's something like that. That's basically like, Sadashiva is like God in Hinduism. Lord Shiva is like, I think the sustainer. There's like Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. I think Shiva is the sustainer, if not maybe the destroyer. But there's this belief that Sadashiva, or God, will like incarnate in flesh in the world. And there's like this whole lineage of different incarnations of Sadashiva over different epochs of mankind. And the ones that I know the most are probably Lord Rama and Lord Krishna. But some Hindus believe that the Buddha was actually an incarnation of Sadashiva. Some Hindus don't believe that. Some Hindus believe that nowadays a guy called Nityananda or Swamiji is like the 8th incarnation of Sadashiva, whereas other Hindus don't believe that. But you see, like, this is why I don't take religion too seriously. Like, because they start saying that like only certain people can be Sadashiva, and like it's this whole like belief that you have to like cling to, and like I don't know, if you want to believe that, that's fine, but I don't believe that. But I take a look more at like the sheer like concept that like God will incarnate in human flesh into the world. So where this really ties up is like, the whole like solipsism thing, like it's just you that's there. Something that I was thinking about in meditation was like, this sounds like really like sort of like self-obsessed or arrogant to say, and like I can't talk about this with most people, but I feel like I want to get it out of my head, so I want to make a video about it. I was thinking, like, what if I really am like Sada Shiva, or like God in the flesh? I'm not forcing you to believe that. I'm saying, like, for me, it's me. For you, it's you. For Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump. But, like, you see, like, somebody has to either tell you this or you have to figure it out on your own. And for me, like, I kind of figured this out on my own. And I'm not saying it's the ultimate truth or anything like that. It's just something that I kind of, like, thought about. But I just, like, focused. My mind was, like, going slower, like, my thoughts. And I was like, what if, like, my body really is, like, the incarnation of Sada Shiva, or God? Like, they say even Jesus in Christianity, obviously. Some say he was the son of God, but they go deeper in, like, the mysticism, Christian mysticism, that Jesus actually was God. And, like, there's a lot of, like, not just, like, Christians who just, like, go to church and, like, I don't know, just, like, call themselves Christian, but, like, people who really get into it and, like, really, like, read a lot into it. They say that they believe that Jesus actually was God, just as Lord Krishna was the incarnation of Sada Shiva. And, you know, like, we're all, like, made out of the same thing, so we all come from the universe, and the universe is one thing, and we are the universe. So if you really want to believe that, like, in a dream it's just you, and you are the universe, and, like, you know, I'll let you, like, think about that on your own. But so, anyway, as I was saying, I was really, like, thinking about this. Like, I was picturing, like, God in my head, and I was actually, I was, like, the way I pictured God in my head, like an image, not like a person, like a physical, like, human body, but, like, sort of like this ball or, like, circle of, like, consciousness. I related it to, like, I imagined it in my head as this one experience I had in a dream about 4 years ago. Like, it was no ordinary dream. It felt like astral projection, but, like, still kind of like a dream. It's really hard to explain, but I made a video about this. I'll put the link to that video in the description. And anyway, like, to sum it up, I was going through all these different layers, going up, 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 and up, and then I was about to go to another layer of, like, reality, or the heavens, or whatever. And when I entered this next layer, gravity, like, shifted, and the earth was, like, in the sky, and that top layer was, like, on the earth. And it says in the Bible, I don't know the exact words, but, like, something about when the earth is in heaven and heaven is on earth. But it just reminded me of that. But then there was, like, this platform, and, like, I was in, like, this little room where, like, gravity shifted. And then I was in this little room, and, like, there was this platform. I put my hand on it, and, like, my consciousness, like, merged with everything. Like, I literally, like, I felt like I was, like, everything. There was, like, this divine, like, blissful, like, peaceful feeling. Like, I'm like, I could literally spend, like, eternity here. Like, this is, like, amazing. Like, I can't, like, feel bad. Like, I feel amazing. And, so yeah, like, in my head when I was meditating last night, I just, like, imagined that, like, I don't know what to call it, like, consciousness, or, like, that experience. But I was thinking, like, God. Like, God. Like, what if I actually am, like, the incarnation of, like, God? And, like, I want to make it clear that, like, for me, it's me, but for you who's watching this, listening to this, it's you. It's just that this is where religion fails, because they can't tell you directly that it's you. So I was, like, picturing this in my head, and all of a sudden I had, like, this vision of, like, the Holy Grail, with, like, all these colorful gems around it, and there was, like, wine being poured into it. It was crazy. Like, I was like, oh my god, that's nuts. But also a little bit about religion and, like, stuff like that. When I say it fails, I'm not saying that, like, it's completely, like, useless, because I think religion has a lot of good uses. But it's just that, like, I don't completely adhere to it. And this may sound kind of weird, but I feel like a lot of religions, like religion specifically, of, like, everything else, not philosophy and not mysticism, but specifically religion, like the stories, it's like the story of like somebody who like becomes like enlightened, or like, you know, like Jesus, the Son of God, or whatever it is. It's always something related to like otherworldly, like divine things. I feel like it's religion is there because it's like your subconscious mind is trying to give you a clue or a hint to go back home, like up there, like that consciousness. It's really like inside of you, but it's hard to like talk about it without saying. I don't know, but it's hard to really talk about it in words, especially when you're talking to a camera, because then I don't get feedback, and it's not. I'd rather talk to a person about it. I don't know, but something else I wanted to say was that like there's some people that argue that like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote the Bible according to what Jesus told them. Some people go even harder and say that no, it's like the direct word of God. But you see, I'm saying that like you were just randomly born into this world years ago, and like nobody told you anything about the world. You were just born here. So like, what if it's... I would say like it's not good to like be so like fixated on like who wrote the Bible, where did it really come from. But if you really want like a modern, like almost like a scientific way to look at it, it's not. Maybe I shouldn't call it scientific, but the way I see it is like it's like your subconscious mind, like I just said, giving you like a hint or a clue to like that consciousness where like your mind is like silenced, your bodily desires are silenced, and it's just pure like divine bliss, and like it's almost like when they say like life is a dream, or like what I said about how like the waking state and the dream state are like two different ends of like the same stick. There's always like symbols in life, or like synchronicities that like appear, and like they're hard to explain, but they're always like hinting at something important, usually like very important. And I made a video about synchronicities too, which I'll put in the description. Even though I have said like don't be fazed by it in the other video, that is true. Like you shouldn't be too fazed by it, because then once you like focus on it and you're so fazed by it, it starts to like go away. But it's kind of like, imagine like life. Imagine like you sit around, you literally don't do anything all day. You just like sit on the couch and like you're eating like really unhealthy food, like really heavy unhealthy food, and then like imagine you like go to sleep and you have a dream that like maybe you like turn into a rock and you're just like sitting there and like you can't get up. That's like your dream, like your subconscious mind telling you that like you're not like doing anything. You're just like laying there, you're like heavy. And like when you wake up, you should think about that and be like, oh well, I was a rock in my dream. Maybe because I just like sit on the couch and like eat fast food all day long. Like, you know? But like even in this waking state, we still get those little like I don't know, just little symbols and stuff like that. Synchronicities, sort of. They're kind of like similar things. Maybe not the same exact thing, but similar. And it's like like what I said, it's like our subconscious mind like trying to tell us something. And I think religion, when you're not taking it too seriously, that like you feel like you need to like read it and like you need to like adhere to God according to like the Bible or something, or any kind of culture or tradition. Or if you're too against it, where like you're gonna criticize every little thing about it and say it's completely wrong and completely bad, completely useless. Those are both bad ways to like approach religion. I think you need to be like wise about it. Like don't get too close and don't get too far. Like just be aware of like the symbols in it. Like what is it really like saying? And you don't have to like, I'm not like forcing you to believe anything I say. Like you really don't have to. I'm just throwing this out there. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Like, it's all good. But I really feel like it's like your subconscious mind like trying to like give you a hint or a clue. You know? Because then like you start meditating and you really focus on like not the instructions, well maybe not instructions, but like the rules of like religion, and you're not like trying to be so like overly skeptical about it, but you just kind of notice what's there. Like it's usually about a person like Jesus or Krishna, and It has a lot to do with God or something like divine and otherworldly. It's like bridging like your awareness and your like state of like your intellect, what you understand about it. And it's bridging that to like this like faultless state sort of. Like it's really hard to get to that state, but it's telling you that there's a way to get there, but like you have to like stop like rationalizing and like you have to stop feeling like inferior to some like tradition that you were like maybe raised upon, your culture. But it can't tell you that directly. Like you have to like figure it out on your own. You know? So that's basically it. And I never knew that GT's kombucha has a rose flavored kombucha, which tastes amazing. So yeah, that's it. Bye.